So, our goal is worthy of a project, but what's the next step? Remember the project selection and project portfolio management mentioned before, where the board of directors choose the projects that are worth the organization's time and resources? This is where the business case comes in. Its job is to convince the board of directors to invest company resources in this project, not somebody else's. Let's take our showroom example. To prove its worth, the business case must adhere to established standards. First, we must explain the project's purpose for the business. It will increase revenue, as the new retail park is sure to be a landmark in the city for consumers looking for top-of-the-range products, and it will increase brand awareness as it will get a lot of exposure. Then, costs and potential gains. In the business case, you will see all the numbers and financial analysis. In our example, a showroom is a big investment. We must give a detailed financial analysis. All costs and potential gains will need to be carefully estimated, and all financial elements must be described. Revenues, expenses, expected inflation, discounted cash flow if we're talking multi-million-dollar projects, interest rates, taxes, and this is the time the net present value and payback methods will be applied. But don't stress too much. This is for the project sponsor and senior leaders to prepare. So the business case has detailed all your finances. The scope is a guide to what your project will involve, and now it's time for a feasibility study. And it's just what it sounds like. An analysis of the goals, scope, and resources to determine whether the success of the project is feasible. Oh, and bear in mind, the feasibility study is on a mid to high level. The project sponsor and project manager need to move efficiently through the initiation, and the analysis should be just enough to confirm they can go ahead with the time, budget, and resources available. But don't worry, a more detailed analysis and preparation of resources is performed during the planning phase. For now, though, the project sponsor must ask, can the organization provide the needed budget, time, employees, and management attention so the project can be executed? Do they possess the needed expertise, for example, engineering, coaching, project management, IT, and so on? Or do partner companies need to be involved? If so, which ones, and how best to procure them? For example, Lamborghini need to provide us with managers from other showrooms to train new ones. HR need to assign people to the hiring of staff. Their marketing team needs extra resources to advertise, and they need to hire out contractors for the building work. There are many fields that go into executing a project, and we will have to consider them all and how they interconnect. For our project to go ahead, we need to get all the information we need. Is our project feasible? It's a simple question with a not so simple process. Let's assume we have a positive answer to the above question. So let's get into risk assessment and expectations next. Another important task when preparing to take on a project. I'll see you there. The project is feasible. The organization has the resources needed to execute the project. But what about the things unseen? To use an analogy, the first thing to do when entering a dark room is to find the light switch. In project management terms, this means reveal the risks. The way we deal with uncertainty will undoubtedly affect whether the project is a success. Or will we turn the lights back off and hope for the best? Risks must be identified, analysed, and responded to. Although we will go into way more detail during the planning phase, as will the project manager. But for now, one area that needs to be addressed is everyone's expectations. Does everybody share the same vision as each other? Are they expecting the same resources? Who does everyone think is ultimately accountable? Let's go back to our project example. Perhaps one of our stakeholders imagines our showroom to be targeted towards families, so wants more saloon cars to be showcased, while another knows that luxury sports cars sell very well in this part of the city, so expects more of the cars to be two-door convertibles. Or maybe the sponsor believes the hiring of staff is outside of the project scope, while the stakeholders believe the project is not complete until the showroom is physically open for business. We must spend time with stakeholders, looking at the project in development from every angle to see if there is something that looks different to someone else. The sooner they can find and resolve expectation gaps, the better. Overlooking these expectations can have disastrous results. Okay, so now we've done our preliminary checks. And of course, during the So, remember we spoke about scope at the beginning of the course? Project managers are great at seeing the scope of things, and they will go into great detail during the planning stage. However, at this point, the project sponsor will still need an idea of everything that's involved in our project. Everything that needs to be done for our goal to be achieved. But what exactly is part of our scope? Should the heating in the showroom be electric or gas? This question is within our scope. Should the local newspaper write an opinion piece on how showrooms are a thing of the past? Definitely not part of our scope. When should the showroom's details be updated to the company website? Is this within our scope or somebody else's? It's not always clear where questions may come up and disrupt progress. A so-called grey area, where the team may be unsure whether something is part of the project. So, the sponsor works with the project team and the project manager, if they've been appointed, to try and predict where these grey areas may occur, and confirm any doubts. Speaking of hiring, the project team are experts from production, IT, resource and development, HR, supply chain, etc. The project manager and sponsor use the team's expertise to their advantage, especially when defining the scope. They can be outsourced by the project manager or sponsor or already be part of the organization. As for the project manager, the stakeholders choose one, but that project manager is not obliged to say yes to their offer. Accountability is a big commitment. Therefore, any prospective project manager scrutinizes the information gathered in the initiation. They do not run from a challenge, but they will demonstrate if something is unrealistic. Say Finland is hosting the World Cup and want to build a hotel for the players of visiting countries next to the main stadium. They have sufficient budget and the business case has been approved. The project manager comes in and reviews the information the sponsor has put together and concludes there is no way construction can finish within the 12 months before the tournament starts. Therefore, he or she declines the project. This is the best outcome for everybody, as the organization knows not to waste resources on a project that will serve them no benefit, and instead finds other means to achieve the desired goal, like booking an entire already built hotel for the duration of the tournament. One way a project sponsor will assess whether a project is realistic is through a feasibility study, which we will discuss in the next lesson. See you there.